After the recent incident concerning the alien named Syl, the molecular biologist Dr. Laura Baker creates a hybrid of human and alien named Eve. Will she be an ally in case of another attempted alien invasion, or will she succumb to her natural alien state? Let us all find out the answer in the 1998 film Species Ida. A team of astronauts consisting of Captain Patrick Ross, Dennis Gamble, and Ann Sampas is sent on the first human trip to Mars. Boarding the ship called Excursion, the team makes their way to the Red Planet. And just like what Neil Armstrong did on the Moon, Patrick puts up the American flag on the soil of Mars, announcing to the world that the Americans have done it again. This event is being broadcast live in all parts of the world. Patrick is the son of Senator Judson Ross and is currently deemed a national hero by his countrymen. He spends a little time admiring the planet, then proceeds to collect soil samples to finish the mission. As he boards the ship again, Patrick still cannot believe what he just achieved. With their mission finished, the team prepares to head back to Earth. At this time, the President of the United States commends them for a job well done and wishes them a safe trip back home. However, they don't notice that one of the soil samples that Patrick brought to the ship contains an alien substance and it gets out of the container. The substance then starts making its way to find its best suitable host among Patrick, Dennis, and Ann. Just a second away before they make their way back to Earth, the three of them pass out. The sudden loss of communication with the team causes panic and confusion for everyone on Earth. After a few minutes, the team wakes up and Patrick contacts the command center, apologizing for what just happened. According to him, they had a malfunction in one of the band antennas that caused the loss of communication. But he assures them that the system has been repaired already and that they are ready to go now. At the same time, in a mental institution, a scientist named Dr. Herman Cromwell is raging and screaming at the top of his lungs, saying that the trip to Mars should have not happened. Meanwhile, in a laboratory supervised by the military, Dr. Laura Baker created a half-human and half-alien clone of Syl that is called Eve. Laura makes it to a point that she is more human than an alien, putting her alien genes and abilities dormant. This day, she is going to show Eve to Colonel Carter Burgess Jr. and his military colleagues. Laura explains that the goal of creating Eve is to have a defensive means if ever aliens attempt to invade Earth once more. Also, they can use her as a live study subject for future research purposes. In addition, to prevent the excessive mating capabilities brought by her alien genes, Eve is prohibited to have direct contact with any man. With the introduction speech out of the way, Laura and her team begin the demonstration by filling a container where Eve is with hot toxic steam. Eve screams in agony as the steam burns her skin, but to the men's surprise, she just heals all of her burns. Confused, Burgess asks what just happened, to which Laura explains that Eve can be only affected by a toxic agent once, but once her body adapts, it will be useless against her the next time they use it. Therefore, the same thing goes for other aliens, and that poses a great problem for all of them. Hearing this, Burgess orders Laura to continue finding a way to kill Eve so that they will stand a chance the next time aliens attack their planet. Afterward, Laura goes to Eve and apologizes for what she has done, explaining that she just needs to do her job to protect humanity. However, Eve feels bad that she is being treated as a laboratory animal. Calmly, Laura tells Eve that she took the job so that she can make sure that despite all of the experiments done on her, nothing bad will ever happen to Eve. Although Eve understands the situation, she asks Laura not to forget that although she is part alien, she is also a human that has feelings. Sometime later, Patrick's team finally arrives on Earth. They are greeted by shuttle ground support and a medical team to ensure their quarantine after coming from another planet. Dr. Orinsky, the doctor assigned to check on the team, gladly declares that all of them are healthy based on their preliminary examination. Still, as a precautionary measure, they need to undergo sexual quarantine, and he needs to do more blood testing. But to cheer them up, Orinsky opens the window blinds, revealing many fangrels waiting for them outside. Seeing this, Dennis feels excited, yet the doctor reminds him that they are prohibited from doing any sexual activities for 10 more days. Later that night, a welcoming party is held for Patrick, Dennis, and Ann. Judson, as the father of Patrick and a senator, gives the opening speech, telling the public how proud he is of his son and his crew. He also adds that even when Patrick was at a young age, he already saw great potential in Patrick. After the opening speech, Judson finally calls on Patrick on stage. However, the most anticipated man of the night is missing. As it turns out, Patrick is smooching with a woman somewhere in a hotel despite Orinsky's reminder that they are under sexual quarantine. Hearing the crowd cheering for his name, Patrick excuses himself to the woman. But before he goes, she says that she will be waiting for him in a presidential suite after his speech. Going up on stage, Judson sarcastically thanks Patrick for showing up late. Not minding his father, Patrick begins to deliver another speech. He first thanks his friends and crewmates Dennis and Ann, and states that what he learned from the mission to Mars is how easy it is to destroy all of God's creation, which causes an awkward silence in a crowd. Then he adds that no matter how many planets there are, nothing is as beautiful as Earth, and that the most important mission they have is on this planet. The crowd finally livens up, giving Patrick a standing ovation. Right after that, he immediately meets with the woman from earlier and is surprised to see that she brought her younger sister with her. The woman says she and her sister like to share, so Patrick has to deal with both of them, which he has no problem doing. While this is happening, Eve, who is just watching TV, also somehow seems to be reaching her climax. It is like they are having a telepathic connection that none of them are aware of at the moment. Going back to Patrick, as he has sex with the younger sister, the older sister goes into the comfort room to freshen up. Suddenly, she notices that her stomach is getting bigger and bigger. Panicking, she screams for help until she falls back and a baby alien bursts out of her stomach, killing her. At the same time, the younger sister cannot help her because she is also being attacked by none other than Patrick. Tentacles start coming out of his body and piercing the younger sister, eventually impregnating her, which results in her death after another baby alien comes out of her body. Afterward, the two baby aliens quickly age into young boys, and Patrick brings them into one of their family barns to hide them for a while. The following morning, Patrick goes to his father's office and tries to tell him that something wrong has been happening to him since he got back from Mars. However, Judson is too busy focusing on his career and Patrick's future political run instead of listening to his son's cry for help. As it turns out, the father and son don't have a close relationship due to Judson's greed for political power. Pissed, Patrick breaks down and admits that he is scared, but all he receives is a scolding from his father, telling him to quit acting like a child. Just then, Judson reveals to him that he knows that Patrick is messing around with women, even though he is not supposed to, but he doesn't care. All he wants is for Patrick to have a good public image because he wants his son to be the president of the United States in the future. After a while, in the Space Center, Orinsky discovers something in the blood sample of Patrick. He calls the mental institution in hopes of talking to Cromwell, but he accidentally spills the blood sample on the floor. And to his shock, the blood starts moving like it is alive and is catching up to something. Following where the blood is going, alien tentacles suddenly burst out of the wall and fatally wound Orinsky, who later on succumbs to his death. The blood then climbs up the wall as if it is going back to where it came from. Getting a closer look at what kills the doctor, it turns out to be Patrick in his full alien form. Later, upon the discovery of Orinsky's corpse, Laura conducts an examination in which she discovers that the substance found in the deceased doctor's wounds is a combination of human and alien DNA. She also adds that the DNA is quite similar to Eve's, but is not a perfect match. And with Eve locked up and monitored in her laboratory all the time, they'd realize that there is another hybrid human alien on the run once again. A general asks how they will find this hybrid, and Laura suggests that they should run a blood test on Patrick's team because they're the only people that left Earth recently. The general agrees with the suggestion, but he also orders Burgess to get the ex-mercenary Press Lennox into the search mission for a higher chance of success. Complying with the general's order, Burgess meets with Press, who's now working at a private security company. Briefing him with the details of the situation, Burgess formally asks for Press help in finding the hybrid. However, Press insists that he's done dealing with aliens. But when Burgess offers him a tax-free $1 million payment, Press changes his mind. The two men immediately go to Laura's lab, where Press sees Eve for the first time. Seeing them casually barging into the lab, Laura orders them to leave, explaining to Burgess once again that she doesn't want any male around Eve. Outside, Laura tells Press every basic thing he has to know about Eve. Hearing all of it, Press is still not convinced that she can contain Eve if she wants to get out, and that they cannot be sure if she will be on humanity's side when an invasion happens. But Laura assures him that Eve is connected to a control box, and once she gets away, all it takes is just one press to detonate the toxic capsule in her brain that will kill her. Burgess then tells the two of them that they need to work together to find this other hybrid, just like how they defeated Syl before. Left with no other choice, Laura and Press start working by interviewing Cromwell. Press finds his name on Orinsky's phone records, so they ask what Orinsky wants from someone like him. According to Cromwell, he was doing research on a meteorite from Mars when he discovered alien life on it. However, the evidence he found suggested that the alien life on the meteor was not organic on Mars. This means that Mars was just like Earth once, but as the aliens conquered the planet like a plague that caused the red planet to be in the state it currently is, a dead rocky planet. And when he heard that the government will conduct a mission to Mars, he warned them not to proceed. This results in a fight between him and a Pentagon general that leads to his admission to the mental institution, as they made it seem that he was crazy. But right now, those alien substances are already on Earth, and all that he can do right now is pray for God's mercy. After their conversation with Cromwell, Laura and Press meet with Burgess and relay every important detail to him. Due to that, the Colonel sends Press and Laura with a search party to look for Patrick, Dennis, and Anne as quickly as possible. They head first to Patrick's place but find it empty. Moving quickly, they go to Anne next, who is just about to begin making love with her husband. Suddenly, an alien bursts out of her stomach and attacks her husband. Press, Laura, and the military arrive to help them, yet the couple still dies later on. Seeing how dire the situation is, Press brings the search party with him to look for Dennis, while Laura brings Anne's corpse to the lab and studies it. Shortly after, Press team finds Dennis on a yacht and immediately brings him to the lab. There, Dennis is confused as to why they need to treat him like that, saying that they have been examined thoroughly before. But when Press says Anne is already dead, Dennis shuts up. By good fortune, the blood test says that he is normal, so they finally let him go. Before he leaves, Press asks if he knows where Patrick is, to which he says he doesn't. Speaking of Patrick, he's currently on one of his family's properties, making love with another woman. The next day, he's shocked to see that the woman he just slept with is already dead with her body ripped open. Then, he sees a young boy looking at him. Not knowing what to do, Patrick decides to end everything right then and there, blowing his own head off using a shotgun. However, being infected by the alien with regenerative property, his head just grows back. Dennis, who's looking for him, witnesses all of this and runs away in fear. He then goes straight to Press and Laura and tells them what he saw. Now that they're sure that Patrick is their hostile hybrid, they organize another search party for him, not knowing that Patrick is already on his way, having sex with every woman that he takes a liking to. Sometime later, Eve experiences sensual pleasure once again, even though she's just alone in her room. Meanwhile, Press and Dennis respond to a call that another woman is ripped open in a motel. With all of this into account, they start to realize that Eve and Patrick are telepathically connected, that every time Patrick is with another woman, he is sharing a pleasure with Eve. Later that night, Patrick buries another woman and goes to the barn where he's hiding all his children. Then, it is revealed that he already has many children, waiting to reach the chrysalis stage to bloom as an adult. The next day, the military talks to Laura because they want to use Eve's connection to Patrick to their advantage to catch him. That's why they're ordering Laura to partially wake up Eve's alien genes so she can connect with Patrick. At first, Laura doesn't want to do it, afraid that it will make Eve less of a human, but she is forced to do it as Burgess stands by his order. When Burgess and his colleagues are gone, Laura talks to Eve, apologizing for what she is about to do. On the other hand, Eve understands the situation and says she wants to help them. After the preparation, Eve undergoes the radiation process until she connects with Patrick. In this state, she can see through his point of view and she instructs them where Patrick currently is. Press and Dennis work together to catch him, but Patrick is good at escaping. He also manages to kidnap a woman whom he tries to impregnate. But all of a sudden, Patrick stops and he manages to connect with Eve as well. With the two hybrids connected, their hormones skyrocket, causing Patrick to let go of the woman. Then, he surrenders to Press and Dennis. Arriving at the lab, Patrick starts attacking everyone until he gets face-to-face with Eve. Laura tries to appeal to him, saying that she can help him remove the alien from his body. However, Patrick doesn't listen and attempts to infect her instead. Luckily for her, Press and Dennis arrive and scare Patrick away, but he manages to escape. When the situation calms down, Laura discovers something in Dennis' blood. His genes turn out to carry sickle cell anemia, and the alien substance didn't infect Dennis because it's afraid that the baby aliens that will come from him will carry the disease he has in his genes. Due to this, Laura comes up with a possible solution to defeat Patrick and his children using Dennis' blood. Concurrently, Patrick goes to the barn where he is greeted by his father. As it turns out, Burgess talked to Judson earlier and tells him what his son is up to recently. But Judson stands firm that he will not surrender Patrick to them. That's why he goes to the barn to talk to Patrick and tries to convince him to get medical treatment. Judson also apologizes to Patrick for not listening to him when he begged him for help. For a moment, Patrick breaks down and hugs his father, crying for help once again. But just as Judson thinks everything is fine, Patrick kills him cold-bloodedly. Then he goes inside the barn and assists his children in going to their cocoon state. To make matters worse, Eve just decides to break out of the lab. The radiation indeed messes with her brain, making her act like an alien rather than a human. Now, she's yearning to mate with Patrick. The military is alerted of her escape, and upon getting out of the facility, they rain down bullets on her. But as expected, she just heals from it and steals a truck to meet with Patrick. Laura, Press, and Dennis follow after her until they reach the barn. By good fortune, Laura already finished earlier the new formula that has Dennis blood that they can use against the aliens. Arriving at the barn, they are grossed out as they see several cocoons hanging around. Press orders them to clear every cocoon out while he goes upstairs to check if Eve and Patrick are there. As Press is gone, the two start spraying the cocoon with the formula, but one of the aliens breaks out and strangles Dennis. Luckily for him, Laura saves him and they finish what they're doing. Meanwhile, the two hybrids are indeed upstairs and they immediately start mating. While doing so, a bright cocoon-like cover surrounds them as they transform into their alien form while doing the deed. Seeing this, Press calls out to Eve to get out of the way, just in time for Laura and Dennis to show up. At this moment, the angry alien Patrick gets out of the cocoon-like cover and attacks Press and Dennis. Knowing that she cannot do anything against the alien, Laura appeals to what's left of Eve's humanity for help. And as luck would have for them, Eve gains back her sanity and stabs Patrick. However, this does little damage to him and he proceeds to kill her instead. Laura gets mad and continuously sprays at Patrick with the formula. While the alien is distracted, Dennis tells Press to use his raw blood against Patrick. Thinking quickly, Press stabs Dennis' leg with a garden fork, drenching it with enough blood, then throws it at Patrick. This causes the alien to weaken and dry off. They finally manage to beat Patrick. As the sun rises, the military finally shows up to clean up the mess and Dennis scolds them for coming in late. But all his rants are gone when he gets attended by a beautiful military woman. Before the medical helicopter flies off, he bids goodbye to Press and Laura. At the same time, Eve, who transforms back into her human form, is also being transported back to the lab. However, it is then revealed that Patrick has a youngest child who hasn't turned into a cocoon yet, causing him to survive the night and hop a ride in the Jeep where Eve is. The movie ends with Eve's stomach bloating, signifying that she is bearing her and Patrick's offspring. The movie Species Tigid is indeed a good sequel to the first movie Species, which was released in 1995. It has good gores that definitely carries the tone of the film. Despite its basic plot, it does a good job of making itself distinct compared to other movies in the same field. Overall, this is a decent film, but it is highly recommended to watch the first movie first for a more immersed experience with the characters.